Tonight, we begin with a high-stakes confrontation between politics and aviation. Nigerian Senator Oshiomhole has accused Airline, the country's largest indigenous airline, of extorting passengers on a recent Abuja to Benin flight. According to the senator, travelers who had earlier paid about 146,000 naira fare through online booking were denied boarding even after they had checked in online at the airport, only for those same seats to be resold to last-minute passengers for up to 250,000 naira. The senator, who served as Edo State governor and former APC national chairman, described the act as organized exploitation and has shared video clips and passenger testimonies to support his claims. APC, in a swift rebuttal, called the claims false and misleading, alleging the senator disrupted operations and created a scene by climbing onto the airport equipment. They insist that boarding had closed before the senator arrived and that the flight departed with over 30 empty seats. In a sign of how seriously this matter is being taken, Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo has ordered an immediate investigation involving the NCAA, the FAN and NAMA, demanding full CCTV footage and staff accounts to determine the facts, as this dispute raises wider questions about service standards, passenger rights, and political accountability. We are being joined tonight on the program by Senator Oshiomhole, senator representing Edo North in the National Assembly, who insists that this is about principle and justice. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day, happy democracy, because democracy is still on.
Yeah. Let me begin by asking you, there are those who were supporting you and those who were supporting the airline. And in fact, the account was that you came late to the airport, and so you were grandstanding them. Those were some of the report, and you disrupted operation. Senator, the report also suggests that you were involved in a heated confrontation with one of their staff over alleged extortion, and they denied it. Can you clarify your role, if you can help us summarize it? What happened in that incident, whether you believe that your actions were justified on the day?
Very much so. Well, thank you for the opportunity to again speak on this, which is something that could have brought to a close. But I do understand that it's something of immense public importance. First is that it's not an issue between me, Oshiomhole, senator or ordinary Nigerian. It is a matter between passengers of Air Peace and the management of Air Peace. And don't make distinction between management and staff. It's an Air Peace policy. Because the statement issued subsequently by the Air Peace management, I understand, was signed by even their chairman. And therefore, it's a management policy. It's not a case of some staff extorting money from individuals. Now, what did I say about the passengers? Maybe I am, if you like, the most well-known of all the passengers that were involved in this. Now, according to the statement they issued, they claim that I started disrupting activities of the airline at 10 minutes past 6. Assuming without conceding that that is a fact, it means I arrived at the airport before 6:30. Right? No, sorry, before 10 minutes past 6. And the flight was beginning to depart at 6:30. But the truth of the matter is, I checked in online, as advised by the airliner, and I have it here to show to you at my office, as I did show it to journalists at my office at the Senate on Wednesday evening. And I don't have to do two checking in. The second allegation, which you didn't mention, and I'd like to add it, is that they claim I came with a team of security officers and I used the security men that accompanied me to block the gate. Again, complete falsehood. And this is not my word against their word. On that day, I was alone. I didn't have a personal assistant. I didn't have one policeman. I didn't have anybody with me. I only have my small hand luggage. Not even standard hand luggage, it was just a briefcase. And when they said, oh, we have finished checking, but except those but I said, people are checking in. They say, hey, those ones are already checking online. I showed them, I said, I checked it online. In fact, when I look at my phone, which I will show you, you will see that I checked it online at exactly 7:49 p.m. the previous evening.
The night before.
So how can you say I came late? Now, how can you say I came with a team of security men? Those security men were airport personnel who came either at their invitation or doing their routine job. Because as one of the videos I forwarded to you, and people have, which has been in circulation, is the testimony of a lady who came even before I came at 5:55 a.m. 5:55 a.m. She booked online and she paid 149,000 naira for the ticket. They deny her boarding. So when I approached them and they asked me, oh, we finished, and I showed them the fact that I've checked in, they said, okay, I think somebody went to inform the manager is Oshiomhole. The manager came out, I said, we can, quietly sort you out, just follow me to the office. I said, no, that is the problem of Nigeria. I could have been one of these people. So checking in is not a secret deal. Check me in here along with these other people. Don't do me any favor. Don't extend courtesy. Don't even respect me. Just respect my right and the right of these other travelers. So no fair-minded person can say that it's between Oshiomhole and Airpeace. Number 3, the lady one of the lady who spoke on camera, and it is everywhere now, said she was there when I walked in. The plane was already rowdy. Why was it rowdy? Because many of them who had checked in were denied boarding. They were now asked to pay more additional sum. Why people who were buy ticket on the spot were buy ticket at double of the price that they paid online, and they were told they can't pay, that's it. And so why the manager was trying to quietly manage me and sort me out, I said, you don't need to sort me out. Just respect my right to fly and the right of these other people. In fact, I will not go if these people are not going. And that lady admitted, they softly said, look, Oshiomhole, please, don't leave us here. Please, don't leave us here. Because if I allow them to quietly board me and leave these people, it's the typical case of Nigeria, that the big man look after himself and abandon his followers. In fact, at the point, I asked the security personnel when they said, look, if I stay here, these people are having courage. I said, exactly. The purpose of electing me is that those who elect me may have no voice. But they have elected me to give them voice.
Senator.
And let me say this is the last point I will make. It will interest you that when one of the passengers said, Oshiomhole, I'm from Edo State, please don't leave us. If you leave us, this is how they'll be maltreating us. We will not fly today. And other passengers said, no, Oshiomhole is not a Edo senator. He's a Nigeria senator. He's a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I asked the officers, I said, if you are in my DSS, I said, if you are in my shoes, who should I obey now? Because the plane was already rowdy. Now they said I blocked the gate with my security men. Let them provide the security men. I was alone. And one lady who has spoken on this matter spoke to the fact that I was all by myself. The only thing I refused to do is to allow the airline to compromise me by, quote, giving me privileges which I didn't need. I only needed my right because I have checked in. The truth is institutional extortion. A woman who paid 46,000 for a ticket was asked to pay 109,900 naira to be able to fly at 3 p.m. They offer me, for me, they were not going to take extra money, which is an irony. If this ordinary woman can afford this extra pay, why should I be excused? And that is the point. I refuse just to be, isolated from the rest of the passengers. If I am wrong in doing that, I would like to hear from you.
Senator,
because next time, the problem of Nigeria is that, people are always being accused that the big men take care of themselves and neglect the people. I refuse to be taken care of, and the people who are the Nigerian public being isolated. So for me, it is not between me and Airpeace, But I symbolize the frustration of those Nigerians. There was another woman, I saw it now in your video, who carried a baby of about 5 months old. And she was saying, this baby is stooling. Please, I need to get to Abuja. I take this baby to the hospital. The manager came in and asked her to come in. She went in with the manager. I thought they were going to help her. She came back and I said, Madam, I hope you're okay now. She said, no. They said she has to pay over 100,000. That is this 109,900 naira for her to travel. And she asked me, where will she get the money from? So again, that video was recorded by people who were there. So it is not between me and them. And the danger I see is that if the few of us who are ready to defend the interests of the unknown Nigerian, of the ordinary Nigerian, we are being harassed, attacked, and sponsored publicity to despise our personality. The danger is that everybody try to find, I believe, I do not want to belong to a society that subscribes to everybody to himself, God for all of us.
Senator, let me jump in quickly. There are global standards to check in.
Yes.
You arrived at past 6 a.m. Is that right?
It's not about past, it's about time.
Your flight was 6:30.
Yes.
And you arrived around 6 a.m. Is that right?
I arrived between 6 a.m. or 5 minutes past 6, yes.
Right. So by standard, it's been said that the gates usually would have been closed at 6 a.m.
No.
For a 6:30 a.m. flight.
The rule is this, and this is a very good question you put, is that they stop checking in. They stop checking in passengers that have not been checked in at 6 o'clock. The purpose of checking in online is that you don't do double check-in. I have already checked in. And they will start boarding at 6:30.
Not the plane to lift or to fly at 6:30.
No, sorry.
The plane leaves at 6:30.
Yes, the plane is supposed to leave at 6:30. At 6:30, they are supposed to close the door to the aircraft. But let me hear this. When I ask one of the guys who is an executive director of Air Travel Association, who, according to his record and personal resume, he said he's an award-winning journalist on human rights and air travel. Want something, Shegun, whatever. I have one of his, because everybody is now reacting to the situation. He was there. And he said, he wrote a statement saying, 1,000 plus lies of airpeace. The truth is, that guy said he got SMS message at whether SMS or email at 5 a.m. saying that on that occasion they were going to stop boarding at 45 minutes before, no longer 30 minutes before. That is checking in. When you have already checked in by international standard and you don't have luggage, you proceed to the boarding gate. It's at the boarding gate. It may be in going through security checks and other formality you have to do before you go to the foot of the aircraft or the boarding gate. The gate is closed. Then you have no choice. You don't need to check in twice. This is international practice. This is a local practice. Here you have traveled. Have you always find the gate closed 30 minutes before? Even for the airlines that, one of the most reputable airlines that depart strictly on schedule that I know of these days at about 3. Airline, they generally keep to time. At 6:30 on the dot, if you have not checked in, that's it.
ValueJet does that.
ValueJet, that day I eventually came back. Allow me to name them.
All right, go ahead.
I started naming them. I assist Airpeace, sorry, what an error. Air, they keep to time. ValueJet, they keep to time. Even Arik, whether they have 1 or 2 or 3 aircraft, whatever it is, they also generally keep to time. And in fact, I had earlier given instruction to my officer that if you are buying me a ticket, don't buy me Airpeace. Because even this one that led to this misunderstanding, was not a fresh ticket. It was a ticket I bought for a 12 o'clock flight from Lagos to Abuja. It was later moved to 8:30. At 8:30, the flight was cancelled. So I was to reuse it on Wednesday. So it's not even a fresh ticket. So generally, I have even stopped by earpiece because there's no peace in that airline.
And many people will tell you that now. For you,
now you saw the woman. I saw it on your video, so you must have listened to what she said, not to Oshiomhole. So if you listen to that woman with a little baby of about 5 months, who was asked to pay more money, if you listen to the other woman who even spoke about, and this is interesting, because in the course of, as the crowd began to gather, who was gathering the crowd? Airpeace. Why? Because these are people who have bought their tickets, who are at the airport, you are refused to check them in, and you are selling tickets to new people. So what do you expect? The plane was already rowdy before I came in. And that lady attested to the fact that when I came in, she was watching to see whether they will give me preferential treatment, which they were ready to do, and I declined. And she also admitted that they told me not to leave them alone. That if I leave them, they will be at the mercy of Airpeace. And this is not something that is
Senator,
secret.
look at what the NCA Director
now,
of Public Affairs
before you
and
quote that one,
yeah.
Before you quote NCA, let me also tell you what I said to NCA.
FAN.
All those regulatory agencies, because they were coming one after the other. And I said, as a senator, I know for a fact that in appropriating money for the aviation ministry, we have appropriated money for the regulatory agencies. So what are you doing that under your watch, this level of extortion, that a man or a woman, passengers, are expected or compelled to pay 109,900 naira for it, in addition to a ticket they already paid for online at 146,000. So how can you be here and these things are happening? So they were asking me what happened. I said, no, you ought to have, in your budget, I see you have personnel costs. Where are the personnel here to monitor these abuses? As you are here now, look at them. They are still selling tickets. They are still selling tickets to new people at inflated prices and ignoring those who bought tickets ahead of time. Airlines elsewhere, talking about international best practices, they reward those who bought tickets well in advance by ensuring that they pay less. If you buy at the last minute, you pay more. But in Nigeria, the case now is that Airpeace ignores those who bought their ticket well in advance and prefer to sell.
Senator.
Double the price.
Yeah. Senator.
So what is SCA saying?
Look at what Michael Achimogu was quoted on responding to what the incident that happened. He's the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection at the NCAA.
Okay.
And he said, aviation is not Molue. It is not run on vibes. He went further to say, if your flight departs at 0630 hours and you stroll into the airport at 6:12, you are late. And it's counted as no show. And Airpeace has denied everything that you have said, and they have facts to prove that you were actually,
they don't have any facts.
Politically, you were using your political influence to hound and intimidate their staff. Those were the words of the Airpeace.
Those are their words. But the facts are better than that. The people you should interview, Chio, and I know you are capable of doing that, is all those guys who bought their ticket, who arrived ahead of time, even before 6. Those are met there. Including a lady whose a video clip you have that said she arrived at 5 minutes to 6 a.m. 5 minutes to 6 a.m. And this Achimogo and people like him in the system, I told the minister, this is a cooperative society at the airport. The regulator becomes part of the problem. It's a Nigeria problem. The policeman, the guy you pay to watch over you becomes source of your problem.
So
this
Mr.
guy
Kayamo is asking for investigation.
Excuse me.
So that all parties...
Wait. Ask him, right there at the airport. I think that's why they panically issued that statement. I showed it, I say, I have written while I'm here to the Honorable Minister to say that the irreducible minimum obligation of government to citizens is to enforce their rights. It's not just about road and bridges. And I said, in this case, the federal government is represented by the Ministry of Aviation. And your regulators are there at the airport, and this crime has been perpetrated right before them. And I forwarded these videos, up to 3 to him. And in fairness, he responded promptly and said, I am going to investigate. Subsequently, I called him. I said, following my interaction with the NCAA and all these regulatory agencies at the airport, you may well include this Oshiomhole. I said, they are all part of the problem. I said, how can you be asking me what is the matter? Now, don't take it from me. You saw the video. I think you are obliged to also play to the public the way you played that very interesting interview with our elder statesman, Oshiomhole, GCON, who said her flight was delayed till 12 midnight. She missed her connecting flight to Dubai and lost the opportunity for a training program. She filed for refund as far back as April. The refund didn't come in April, it didn't come in May. It came about a week ago. And she showed me at the airport why I should stand by them, that this is what the refund she got. She paid 161,000, she was refunded 105,000. Last night, happily, she said, this morning I saw a text message. She said, following what happened at the airport, because I screenshot the alert from Airpeace to her phone. So it's not my word against their word. This is a documentary, electronic evidence, showing how much Airpeace refunded. And they deducted about 55,000 from her. It's about 33%. Last night, she said that of that amount, 55,000 was credited back to our account. That is in addition to what they paid before. And they have done that because I showed to journalists in my office that transaction between Airpeace. So how much Airpeace deducted from a passenger they had detained till 12 midnight. She missed her connecting flight to Dubai. She filed for refund. They deducted 33% of her refund. This is not about Oshiomhole. I am capable of defending myself any day. I may look very spoiled, but I have strength to fight for my right. But that will not be enough if I confine fighting for myself. If I was not a senator, I actually told them, if I was not a senator, which imposes on me a certain level of obligation, and this obligation is a bit complicated. On the one hand, it imposes on me the obligation to respect and defend the interests of the Nigerian people, whose taxes are used to pay my salaries Senator, and my privileges.
Yeah,
right?
On the other hand, and I want us to go into the June 12 matter, because I know that you played a role also. But the question is that the point that needs to be made, lessons for us to learn.
The point to be made, talking about even democracy, is that in a free society, government put regulatory measures in place. In fact, I told the minister that these countless abuses, I would be surprised if we are hearing from me for the first time. The only difference is that I went by myself. If I did like other quote Nigeria big men, I said, quote, my boys, my girls, my police officer, my orderly, to go and buy the ticket and do all the checking in formalities, we will have this. But
so you went to the airport alone?
I went alone.
No aid? No assistant?
At all. I went alone.
Is that not unusual for someone like you?
Well, I choose to go that way because how long will I have this policeman? How long? I went alone. I wasn't born with policemen. I wasn't. When I was doing labor, I wasn't with policemen. My best policemen are Nigerian people. And they proved it that day because once they see me, they just form this line. And I would have played into Airpeace tricks if I accepted to travel without paying extra money, quietly, and leave those fellow countrymen and women behind. But I said I would do that.
All right, let's take a break.
The point to be made is that we need independent people, not the members of the extortion community, which include all the regulatory agencies.
We need an ombudsman role within the aviation
We have
sector.
to invite, because I think Ruby Agbadi made the point about two sides of a story. Okay, two sides of a story is not enough. In this case, if you like, I'm the face of one side, the frustrated passengers, and Airpeace are the people I describe as the extortionists who were extorting as much as 149,000 naira, 149,900 naira from each passenger. Now, it is those other passengers you need to invite, not those who share from the booty arising from this extortion at the airport.
Let's take a break. But when we return, we'll continue our conversation with Senator Oshiomhole. This time around, on June 12th, their party, the APC, is at the helm of affairs. How Nigerians getting the benefit of the democracy a lot of people died for and struggled for. That will be next on our program tonight. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get back to our conversation with Senator Oshiomhole. Senator, let's talk about our democracy. Some of you were you represented Labour, and the military did a great deal of torturing those who think that they could fight. And I think some of the accounts that a lot of people did not know or don't talk about is some of us who work on this side of the divide. There are those of you who were in the front line, who we were covering, who we reported. There are stories of the likes of someone like Kunle Ajibade. Kunle Ajibade was jailed for life under the military. He was put in his account of jail for life, put in a detention of 4 feet, where he had to be there for several days. And those horrible and horrific accounts. And the benefit of democracy or the civilian rule that we enjoy today, a lot of Nigerians who are wondering, are we getting the dividend of that democracy? And the question is that your party is in power, and the president's speech on the day, and the fear that people have about our nation perhaps drifting to one-party state. The big question, Senator, are we on track in delivering to the Nigerian people the dividend of democracy that people died and fought for?
Very much so. We are on track, and incidentally, nobody can lay claim to have fought harder than Mr. President himself. Then, as a
member of NADECO.
As a member of NADECO. And this is the point, and it has a connection with the first issue. What democracy promise? It's not just improvement in the quality of life. First and foremost, in a military dictatorship, this your program by its very title cannot exist. Politics today. Politics will be expressly prescribed. If you thought politics should be detained. So the fact that you can sit down here and even evaluate what the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said on Democracy Day, you can dispute it, you can question it, you can disregard it. It's part of the benefit of democracy. And that is why language like those of Chief Achimogo, who spoke about airline not being more loyal, those are very derogatory in a democracy. Because the citizens are not, so those citizens who bought more loyal, they are inferior by reason of their economic status. What democracy promise is that rich or poor, learned or illiterate, we are equal before the law, or we are entitled to be protected by the rule of law. When I see people write the kind of thing they write, and I see people say discourse on television like yours, very critical of the government of the day, whether at the state, local government, or federal level, that is part of it. It's not just all about bread and butter. Because remember, evil dictators can build bridges. Indeed, dictators build roads, they build bridges, they build airports. What dictators don't have to mark for. And that is why, hate him or like him, Professor Wole Soyinka has earned his name fighting for the ordinary man, including those he didn't know, which he found while he wrote a book, The Man Died. People like Gani Fahimi were jailed in Gashua, one of the most notorious prisons. Why? Because he was interrogating military decisions, questioning government policies, demanding right to human rights, and so on and so forth. Bekolas of critical discrimination, an accomplished medical doctor, choose to dedicate his life to defending the people. And of course, there are many, like you said, there's this Malalu,
yeah.
I don't know his surname now. He was a columnist in The Punch. And he was jailed for, quote, accessory after the fact of a coup. What was the instrument? That he wrote an article that was not favorable to the military government. So today, I'm not aware of any journalist in jail as a result of his criticisms of the government of the day, whether at the federal or state level. Or
but there are those who will say,
so
there is
that is it.
Just a moment.
It is not to suggest,
yeah.
We must make this distinction. It is not to suggest that once you have democracy, everything will be there. No. It is the right to contestation. You know, battle of ideas. We can argue, we can disagree and agree. And the power to govern is invested by the ordinary man on the street. It is not imposed by men and women in uniform with gun.
Senator, yes, people, you might not be able to name names of someone who is physically in prison, but there are those who will say there are people who are economically in prison. There are people who are suffering hardship, that may be comparable to the kind of suffering that you have in prison. Some of them who cannot feed. And based on the promises that your party has made to Nigerians, that it will lessen the burdens, it will provide this and that, there are increasing frustration in some of these Nigerians who think that the powers in government today perhaps had forgotten them and are not living up to the bidding. No, that disappointment, Senator, as a leader of the APC, don't you think that politicians perhaps need to start thinking about how to get into the mind and heart of Nigerians by doing the right thing?
What is the right thing? Because you are now beginning to talk like just a moment, Senator. In making the presidential candidate, you will always say do the right thing, but you have to define what is the right thing.
The promises that are made, simply, the promises that are made,
now, let me answer that.
Are you fulfilling them?
Yeah, very well. So, the first thing, President promised, or the APC promised, our presidential candidate promised, and I was Deputy Director General of the campaign, so I am familiar with the issues, that if he was voted for, he will ensure that some of the key features in our economy that create two sets of Nigerians, like the exchange rate and that level of abuse, that such that whoever wants to steal money in NNPC, we invoice it as a subsidy. He will deal with those. The first day he took that decision, no government find comfort in taking decisions that does not translate to people licking ice cream. So that was an act of courage on the part of the president. Why? Because a lot of people were making money without effort. And they just invoice it away as I mean, when you have to spend 6-7 trillion naira a year for subsidy, which does not include subsidizing kerosene, it does not include subsidizing diesel, just for one item, PMS. Number two, the children of the poor. We have a society in which there are young, intelligent guys who have admission to university, but their parents cannot afford. Now, this president, other 2 years, established and has started implementing student loan for children of the poor, and even children of not so poor. For me, that's a gain. Because he's aware that there are people who ordinarily will not be able to go to university or polytechnic or even any higher institution as a result of the economic circumstances of their parents. I can go on and on. The president comes to the board and says, look, we can't continue to run local government as if they are an appendix. There must be autonomy. But he recognized that he doesn't have the power to decree. And he encouraged the Attorney General to go to court and get the Supreme Court to properly interpret the Constitution to ensure that local government autonomy becomes a reality, so that the money that is appropriated to each of the 774 local governments gets to that level of government. And if those resources are spent in those localities, every part of Nigeria will begin to experience some improvement in their quality of life. So today, even if you are the son of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you can't go to CBN and ask for special rate. Then you go across to Aboki and sell what you have just collected in CBN and sell it at 100% more and make millions of naira or millions of dollars without profit.
Why is it
now,
that,
wait,
Senator,
that is important. That is important.
It is.
Because once
but
people have a lot of money in their hand,
it affected just a few.
It affects not just a few.
The question that is here is the majority of Nigerians.
Now let me speak to that.
Yes, you talk about some of the things that this government is. Why is it that Nigerians are not feeling it?
Don't say that. You are feeling it. Maybe you are not feeling it enough. I can tell you because there are things this is in the open place. And I know what is at stake if, as a man who is a product of ballot, if I say things that are not correct. Last December, like I've always done from my days as a secretary of Textile Workers Union, when I go for Christmas, by our culture, you must give something to people in the village. So last year, I bought a bag of rice at about 105,000 naira, 50 kg. The figure has since come down. Even the naira we are talking about went up to 2,000. It now seems to hover within the band of 1,005 and 1,006. So you can make reasonable prediction if you are running a business. The president has crafted a tax regime that seeks to free small-scale businesses, because it's not enough for us as a people to keep saying, the small-scale businesses, the informal sector plays a major role in our economy, and yet we don't have specialized, law-enforceable incentive. Now, under the current tax regime, that has been provided for. There are several other such initiatives that are in place. But remember, the president did not inherit an economy that was growing. The Nigerian economy was already under recession. As we speak, even IMF, World Bank, I don't like to quote them because I think they are not the one to tell us who we are. But the fact is that our Bureau of Statistics has informed us that the economy is on the path of growth and development. And if you want to further understand this, why you quote opposition figures, please take time to read the lecture delivered by Professor Soludo on Democracy Day to an enlightened community in Lagos. It's very informative. It reminds us that the president came in just on time to save Nigeria from total financial collapse. So if a country was already on the verge of insolvency, and somebody has come to rescue, the first thing you do is to stabilize it before you begin to record growth.
I don't know how your party, Senator, I don't know how your party is going to communicate your ideas.
The cost of living is
to Nigerians, because a lot of people.
I saw your TV now. I saw your TV now, by the way.
Whose purchasing power is very low. Senator, I say a lot of people who are watching you right now, whose purchasing power has not really improved, who can still barely feed their families, will be wondering,
that is why Senator, I was fighting
whether or not
that is why I was fighting APs.
Whether there's still hope.
Yes.
That's the question. And whether these promises are going to...
Of course.
Because the question was that your party brought the pain.
Shehu, before President Tinubu assumed office, most poor Nigerians in a country where you have several, out of the 774 local government, about 300 local government don't have any presence of a bank. Their cash, which they toiled to earn, was confiscated by government. CBN declared their currency as invalid. So whether you like it or not, courtesy of this president, he has revived that. So whatever you had lost before Tinubu was sworn in, today those naira are valid.
Senator,
if that doesn't mean so, it means something to me, because during that campaign, that was a big issue.
Because we need to close. We just have 60
there are
problems.
More. Purchasing power is low in relation to cost of living. So one can say rightly that Nigeria is work in progress. Right. The recovery is on. It can be faster, but no one can say that the situation is static.
All right, Senator.
For reference, read Professor Soludo because he has managed.
I watched him. He was right on. It was broadcast on this channel.
Watching is not enough. Read it properly and digest it.
Yeah, Senator. And if you don't abide by this, you have to pay. You were angry for not paying airpiece, but this one, I will hold you by the trouser tonight and you will pay. You have only 60 seconds, Senator, to answer this question, sir. And my question is a public perception of you and your colleagues in the National Assembly. One, a lot of Nigerians believe that not much is being done in terms of the engagement with the Nigerian people. That, in fact, we do not even need full-time lawmakers in the National Assembly, that Nigeria cannot afford it. The cost of serving lawmakers is too much of a burden for the nation. That perception and the fact that you and your colleagues are more of a rubber stamp to the executive in your role. 60 seconds, can you do that?
Okay. First, let me again link this to the issue of peace. The assembly is perceived to be rubber stamp. So if we start boxing the presidency to show that we are independent, then you call us a bunch of rascals.
Nigerians want
are we elected to go?
Now
you tell me which law is wrong that the assembly has rubber stamped. Name one. Whatever you thought was wrong, that was rubber stamped without a debate. On the floor of the Senate, I have had to raise a lot of issues, including the extortion by discos, distribution companies. There are many decisions that have been taken by the National Assembly, whether the House of Representatives or the Senate where I sit. So when you say the Assembly is a rubber stamp, I ask you, which law is harmful to the national interest that we have rubber stamp?
The borrowings,
will it have been okay?
The borrowings.
Wait. Will it have been okay if every day we go there we are boxing, like Oshiomhole and airpiece, then to show that we are independent?
But Nigerians want you and your colleagues
to do what?
To be firmer, especially in some of the policies.
I asked you for a specific example.
I said in the borrowing,
okay.
Senator. Borrowings is one.
Borrow for what? Once the purpose of borrowing is clear and acceptable, it is patriotic to approve of it. Because this is not the first president to borrow. I will challenge you to name any Nigeria president, from Olusegun Obasanjo as president, to Shehu Shagari, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, I'm not too sure about that because he did love enough, but Jonathan did borrow. Buhari did borrow. America is borrowing. The current bill in US is going to push US deficit to, is it 31 or 36 trillion US dollars.
We are totally out of time.
You name the country
we are
that
totally out of time.
It's about borrowing for right purpose. Borrowing for infrastructure, for me, is very healthy.
Senator Adams Oshiomhole, thank you. And you will pay tonight because I'm being told now that I've spent 3 minutes out of the time.
The ones I get by the phone from airpiece, I haven't gotten it yet. I promise you.
Surely, what it takes, 1 minute of challenge is more than that we are talking about. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Akimale. God bless Nigeria.